In today's episode, I'll be talking about Survivor, Season 47, Episode 7, Our Pickle on Blast. So let's jump right into Our Pickle on Blast. Do something, man. People are questioning you. Shut up. Shut up. Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. Stupid and dumb. Just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the Dub Cast. Starting this episode out, we have Andy coming off of last week's tribal council, being the quote-unquote backup plan. He's going to talk to Soul. Soul is going to take him to the side and tell him, hey, I was the one who voted for you, but if it wasn't for that and Rome had something, then I would have gone home. He also says that he thought for sure Rome had something, so that he'd be sending Andy home, which Andy correctly calls out, and I didn't even realize that, but that's a good call out by Andy. So Andy's realizing he's at the bottom, and this whole kind of first preview of the, not preview, but first airing of the episode is mostly Andy talk, pre the intro and everything. So he's, of course, upset at being the backup plan. He asks who was the one who said that we could use me as a backup plan. Soul says that it was Sam. Not sure that we ever saw that directly happen, but I'm going to take it at a grain of salt. Maybe it did happen, maybe it didn't happen. Sam actually mentioned last episode that they weren't able to have a name for them because it's, I don't know. I feel like that wasn't really said, but good job by Soul framing it on Sam. So now Andy has begun to question everything. He thought he was in tight with Sierra and Sam, but if they're throwing out his name as a backup plan, then maybe not so tight as he thought. So he's up early in the night, scheming in the dark, drawing up scenarios in the sand. I couldn't really read what he was writing at all. I saw Sam at one point, saw some numbers. I think he was trying to figure out numbers to eventually get Sam. We'll see how quickly that happens. So the second riser of the day is Genevieve. She makes her way to Andy, and Genevieve, having just lost Rome, seemingly okay with that, wants to make a new ally now. She wants to now align herself with Andy. So they say together they can be a big sneak attack. And yeah, I guess, Andy, I think, is someone who most people consider is on the bottom. Genevieve, I'm not really sure of her overall standing in the game. Seems like she's doing okay, but, them together, no one would really suspect that. And seeing how the last two, it's not even, I was going to say the last two Red Tribe members, Soul and Teeny, are together. They're not really together, but Sam and Sierra are together. There's duos, so, not an unexpected duo cross-tribal that we saw for the first time tonight. So I think that we were showed that. That's going to be important down the road. So other things happening at camp before the challenge, we have the classic all-woman alliance being brought together. They do a nice little flashback to the Black Widow Brigade. Teeny mentions how it hasn't really worked since then, and yeah, considering that the boot of this episode is in those conversations talking about it, all women's lines, it's not going to last again. I thought maybe it would because Teeny mentioned that it doesn't really work out. Maybe it'll be an all-women final three. Maybe that's a hint towards that. I could see the vision on that, to be honest, but I don't know. That might come up again later. It might not. I just thought that was important to note. Obviously, with the flashback scenes, there's always something important. We saw in season 45 with Austin and Dee. They compared it to Rob and Amber. Obviously, Rob and Amber final two. Rob lost. Dee won. Amber won. There's another one. Some of them aren't as important, like Charlie and Maria being Denise and Malcolm. It depends on what you're putting the weight into these flashbacks. So really not much else pre-challenge because most of this episode occurs post-challenge. So we go into the challenge and it's the twist from season 44. So you're splitting into two different groups. One person who will win for everybody. Well, not really one person. You're competing 6-on-6. The person who holds out the longest wins. It's 1-on-1 in a 6-on-6 setting, so you have 6-on-6 on each side. So whichever group of 6 lasts the longest and has the most people at the end, or has the person at the end still holding something, wins immunity for their whole group. And then the person of the losing group, of this group who didn't make it as far, the last person standing in that group will win immunity individually, and then that group, the losing group of 6 people, will go to tribal council and have to vote somebody out. So essentially, the tribe split is a bit fucked to say the least. So the yellow team is Genevieve, Sierra, Teeny, Saul, Andy, and Sam. So a nice little 3-3 split there. Would be interesting to see what happens there. I think Andy definitely flips on them in that case scenario. Maybe not. We would never know, I guess, because the blue team is Rachel, Caroline, Sue, Gabe, Kyle, and Tiana. The whole blue team that's still in the game, all 5 members, and Rachel. So obviously this is a big standing out point. Just jump off the jump from the draw. Rachel, not feeling great about it, but maybe she can work her magic. Who knows if she actually would have been able to work her magic? I honestly, it's kind of, I don't know if she would have been alive tonight. We'll talk about it more. So, anyways, I've already kind of gone over it, but the yellow group wins. It's Genevieve and Teeny, I believe, at the end. It doesn't matter who holds it up the longest because Kyle drops. It comes down to Kyle versus Genevieve and Teeny. Kyle drops to his group, loses, and is going to tribal council. Yellow team's all safe. So yeah, interesting challenge. They have to hold this ball over your head, balance it. I don't know how hard those balance things really are because you're moving every round. Jeff makes you move into a different segment. So I don't know. I don't know. It seemed like a very hard challenge. Balancing it seems to be a very important factor. But I don't know. This wasn't the most captivating challenge in my opinion. Anyways, as usual with the reward challenge, with the immunity challenge, there's also a reward tied to it. So the group that's there, the yellow group, as all of them are not on the blue team, they need to band together if Rachel goes out because the blue team will have 5 people, they have 6. That's the last opportunity they have. So I thought that was a pretty smart call out. It's kind of basic level Survivor, but good job calling that out. There is an idle clue at the challenge that Andy is sitting right next to. Doesn't see it for now. We'll talk about this in a bit. So back at the camp where they're going to tribal council, the early vibe seemed to be Rachel. Easy odd woman out, get her out. But then Tiana realizes that they'll be a threat as a group together. And yeah, they already are talking about if you vote out Rachel, then we're going to have to send home one of you. Now these 5 aren't the most cohesive 5. There's definitely cracks within that. We had the whole blow up at their first tribal council in the second episode with TK going home. Kyle wasn't in on that vote. Things are changing since then. Tiana has put Gabe's name out a lot of times. I think at some point people were coming for Tiana. So, I don't know. This is a very tough thing here because if you want to just do the easy thing, you can just take out Rachel. But if not, you can take out someone you've been wanting to go to take out for if you had lost another different immunity challenge. Wink, wink. It's going to happen anyway. But I thought this was a pretty. We saw this weighing a lot on all of the players, really. Do they want to make this bigger move and take somebody from within the tribe out or take somebody from the outside of the tribe out? To be fair, if they leave Rachel in the game, yellow has 4 people still. Granted, Rachel was on the outs, but 4 people, so I don't know. I wonder what would happen if, the things didn't happen that did happen. So the second plan comes out by Tiana. She and Kyle are brewing up a plan to come after Gabe. So they're going to, in order for this to happen, they're going to need Rachel. And of course, Rachel being on the bottom and realizing that it's like anything you guys say, I'll go for. I'm down for it. They also need Caroline, which is a harder pull because I think they know Caroline's with Sue, but they know Sue and Gabe are together, but they don't know Caroline's attached to that too as well. So they rule out Sue because she's with Gabe, and they need to go after Caroline to get her vote to get Gabe out, but she's kind of, we'll talk about that in a second actually. So at the reward challenge, there is that little scroll in the thing of a tent. It's funny to see Andy looks for it, fails at finding it after doing it in the open. Sierra once again calls him a dumbass. I think Andy's storyline is really interesting. I'm not really sure where it's headed. To me, it's feeling like winner. It's feeling like a comeback, underestimated. Shout out Morenian Review. He's been talking about how it's all about underestimation, and Andy's definitely someone that can be underestimated. The theme of the season. So I'm on that wave. I don't know. I feel like there's only a couple people that can really win the game at this point. Andy might be one of them though. So he doesn't find this advantage, but Soul, does it more quietly while everyone's asleep. Make sure everyone's asleep. grabs it. He has the advantage now. He's not going to open it now in front of everyone because they're kind of at this secluded part of the beach. But good for Sol. He's playing the game still too. He wanted that advantage last week. He got one this week. So good job, Sol. So Caroline, back at that camp that's going to tribal council, the blue group. Tiana approaches her with the plan. She thinks Rachel is the most dangerous player in the game. That screamed out to me like a misread or just really propping up Rachel. I don't know. I thought maybe this was like me missing something. Maybe this was like good content for Rachel or Caroline. It doesn't seem to me that Rachel's really made a lot of waves. She's had the Girls Alliance. She had a conversation with seemingly Caroline, I think 2 weeks ago at the Survivor Social Hour. But at least the viewer, we haven't really seen Rachel doing too much. She mentioned last week that she needs to find different ways in her game and do different things. But it doesn't really seem like Rachel's this big threat. Maybe that's just what Caroline was using to stick with her plan. That's the best for her narrative, is getting Rachel out. But she also does think that Rachel is very dangerous. So I don't know. I don't know what that was all about. Maybe we're not out there, so we don't know what's really happening. But maybe keep an eye on Rachel after that comment. So Gabe also has to pitch a fake plan to Rachel, not knowing that they're pitching a plan of getting him out to Rachel. So he's pitching a fake plan of Caroline. Caroline kind of reads right through. Rachel kind of reads right through this, that it's bullshit. So she's a little bit aware that everything may not be as it seems. Good. This is a really good Rachel episode, if I'm being honest. She has the hype moment at the end, obviously, but everything leading up to that, she's pretty aware of what's happening. She knows she's at the bottom. So good job, Rachel. So Sol, his advantage, he gets back and reads it while they're playing seemingly wiffle ball or something. That looks pretty fun, to be honest. Sierra hits a home run. Good job. So Sol has an advantage that can send a block of vote or safety without power to someone on the losing team. Immediately I was like, send that to Rachel. That's really the only logistical play. What is someone going to do with a block of vote on the blue team or safety without power? I guess if you really knew the inner workings of the tribe, then you could send it to, like, you know what I mean? But it's like they're either going to get Rachel out or they're going to have to go after their own. So might as well just send it to Rachel, so you know for a fact that one of those 5 is going to be out, which he does end up doing. So good job, Sol. But I thought that was a pretty obvious choice. They tried to like leave some suspense in, then he might send it to someone else. It's like he's going to send this to Rachel, right? So here we go, tribal council. This whole thing felt like a pretty big build-up to them not trying to tweak out Rachel. We got a lot of tribal council jargon back and forth before Rachel even plays her advantage. Jeff keeps cutting back to her. I feel like someone had to have whispered in his ear, Rachel has it, right? Just keep cutting back to her and letting her talk about what's going to happen because she's going to walk out. So yeah, they did a decent job. Some of them, I feel like they could have done a little bit better selling it. Maybe acting a little more worried, but it all doesn't matter because obviously Sol sent Rachel the advantage. As her husband told her before going on the island, do not go home with something in your pocket. She's got something in her pocket. She's not ready to go home. So this is the first time since season 40, I believe, we have the safety without power used successfully. Now, talking about this advantage overall in the game, I kind of like this. The block of vote seemed, I guess it was, they might have just seen the split on the thing and just said, we're deploying this either block of vote or like as soon as the immunity challenge happened, they saw the split. It's like, all right, with this one group we could give this safety without power to Rachel, or if the other group goes, we can do block a vote. They block I don't know, Sam's vote and vote him out, or they do something crazy with that because it's a 3-3 split. So it's like the Elaine situation from season 39 with Jason Linden. Anyways, it feels like that advantage was pretty, or maybe they just know in like a scenario like a 6-6 split, there's going to be every vote matters, block of vote matters, safety without power matters. So, in terms of like the game ability of it, I like it because it helps people who, like Rachel, who gets screwed in this situation. If it was a block of vote, I don't think I'd like it as much. Let the raw dynamics play out, let people flip their votes and stuff. But the safety without power, Rachel goes. So now it's just the 5 Tuca members. And so this is basically just a Tuca tribal council now, an extra pre-merged tribal council. Because the second person being voted out at the merge, whatever, is not on the jury. It's like, why can't we just have one more person on the jury? I get it. Well, if it's a 5-5 split, they don't want to do that again. But then it's like, you have 9 people, so it could be a 3-3-3. I'm trying to add up the numbers in my head. Wait, 7 plus... Is it a 7-person jury? Am I tweaking? Is it an 8-person jury? anyways, why not just let this person make the jury? I mean, Seafood didn't make the jury. Dwight Moore didn't make the jury. Matt Blankenship went out in this exact tribal council and he made the jury. Maybe that was because of the Medivacs. Um, who was last season? Mariah didn't make it. Um, Soda did though. So it's like, no, Tim didn't. So why can't we just get this person on the jury, man? I don't like it because I know if I go out there, I'm gonna be so happy that I made it to the merge, win the first challenge, be safe, and then as soon as the second one comes out, I'm out. I'm not on the jury, and my whole dream's ruined. And Tiana has mentioned a bunch of times how she really wants to make the jury. Um, I told my mom when I watched my mom, she's out, bro. Like, it was pretty obvious to me that she was going home. I even said before Rachel even got the advantage, it's going to be Tiana. It just, the whole episode was kind of in my face with that. In my opinion, I don't know how you guys felt, but it felt pretty obvious to me that Tiana was going to be the one that did end up going home. So once Rachel plays the advantage of the tribal council, they're like, who played it? Who played it on the other team? Because they don't know who got it. Obviously, last time when Heidi got it, they all kind of knew about it. So they're like, here's your advantage, Jam. We know it was Heidi that played this. This time, not so quick. They don't really know who played it. So Soul does a pretty good job playing it off. Rachel's like, I'm playing a safety without power. He's like, a what? So good job by Soul. Wonder if this is going to come back to bite him, though. I wonder if they suspect people, who they suspect, etc. We don't really see any of that yet. But good job by Soul. I'm sure he's going to talk to Rachel as soon as he gets back to camp. Now he's got a nice little inroad there. So essentially it's back to a live tribal council because everything that they planned for, obviously it was going to be Rachel because they're all just sitting there shocked, not knowing what to do. It comes back to a live tribal council. They're all up and at him. Tiana gives a monologue at the beginning, but she's got to go have her conversations as well. So seemingly in the edit, it seems like it's going to come down to Caroline as the swing vote between Gabe and Tiana. Tiana and Kyle seemingly have worked together, so they would be going for Gabe to be out, and Gabe and Sue obviously have been working together, so it's like, can Tiana and Kyle switch Caroline from her alliance with Sue and Gabe to get out Tiana? In my opinion, that never really had a chance of going because we know that Sue and Caroline are so close. That's been a very harped on relationship in this season so far, so it's pretty obvious to me that Tiana was going to go. We read the votes. It's a 4-1 vote for Tiana to go. Kyle votes for her as well. So someone tipped in Kyle to the plan. Tiana's very emotional. Worst spot to go out in Survivor, merge, but no jury. But at least you can go talk to the podcasters, Asia, John Lovett, meet TK. Who else is there? Annika. And why am I forgetting the person that got voted out last week? Rome. There you go. That's a nice little squad. Hang out with them. Only a couple days left, but obviously not what you wanted. I feel bad for Tiana. She was my first pick in fantasy on one of my teams, so respect. Decent player. Didn't mind her on the show at all. She brought some good stuff, so we'll miss you, T. Next week, the auction returns. Bunch of jargon after that, really. Not really anything exciting that I noticed. I'll have to go back and watch it, but the auction is back. So since season 45. Missed it in season 46. Now we're back for season 47. The auction is back, so that'll be hype. Hopefully it's a little bit better this time. There were people talking about gaming it and whatever from the last one. D with the $900 milkshake. So we'll see what happens. As always, now my favorite part of the show. I give my top 3 players to win and top 3 players out next. So my top 3 to win has shifted around a little bit. I now have Andy number 1. I don't know, bro. I think his comeback is real. That first episode, we focused a lot on him. Granted, he had the big meltdown at the tribal mat, but this episode, he's focusing a lot with him and Genevieve. That's going to be a relationship that carries on, seemingly importantly. He's on the comeback trail to get Sam out. I'm sure that's going to happen at some point. I think Andy's on the up. He's been shown a lot every episode, even when it's the Dodo content, but people are underestimating him. And, maybe he beats like a Sierra in the final tribal council or beats somebody that takes him as a GOAT. I think Andy is a lock for the end game. I would be very surprised if he's out before the final 5, if I'm being honest. He just seems like somebody that's going to be long for the game, and he's my number 1 winner pick right now. Number 2, I got my girl Caroline. I see a lot of y'all have her in the middle of the power rankings. I got her pretty high. To me, it feels like she's been shown every episode as having an important role. This episode, she was the quote-unquote swing vote when it was dead obvious that her and Sue were just going to get Tiana out. It obviously takes a toll on her. She's emotional. They're editing her pretty positively. There's not really a lot of negative content for her. The Rachel thing could be true or false. I don't know. I don't know what's up with Rachel. It doesn't seem like that was meant to be a misread, so maybe she's right. Maybe Rachel will be a big player and she'll take out Rachel. I don't know. I got Caroline number 2. Number 3, I got Sue. Sue was nothing this episode. Did we even get a confessional from Sue? I don't know. I don't remember it. There was nothing impactful and meaningful from Sue. This episode, she got her way getting Tiana out, but we didn't really get her explanation for that at all. Even it felt like the whole pre-scramble before Tribal Council, she wasn't even involved in any conversations at all. Maybe one with Gabe just saying it's going to be Rachel. So a lot of people like Sue as number 1. For me, this episode, she's down to number 3. This was a dead episode from her. Nothing happened for her. So I got Andy, Caroline, Sue. Other people I'm looking at that I think can possibly win. Teeny would probably be number 4. They've been pretty consistent. No one's seemingly coming for them for a while. Someone could underestimate her. All Women's Alliance. I don't know. Who else do I think can win? Rachel, number 5. Big stock boom for Rachel this episode. I think she's on a warpath. I wouldn't be surprised if she's like a late merge brood, is like kind of like a bigger character taken out. But I got Rachel number 5. Is there anyone else I can think? Anyone else I think that can win? I don't think Gabe can win. I don't think Kyle can win. I don't think Sam or Sierra is gonna win. And I don't think Soul or Genevieve's gonna win. So no, I don't think any. I think that's my 5. I think it's down to 5 people for me: Andy, Caroline, Sue, Rachel, and Teeny. So one of those people will be the winner of Survivor. We'll see what happens, in my opinion. Top 3 out next. I think number 1 is Sam. His downfall has been clearly set up now in this position where Andy's coming for him. He's gonna flip on him, get him out. I think that's said and done for. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in a couple rounds, but it could also be just be next round. Sam is the first member of the jury. Seems like the first member of the jury is always kind of like a bigger man sometimes. I mean, we saw Brandon Cottom. Was he even the first member of the jury? I don't know. But there's a lot of juries where the first person's kind of that bigger guy, the jury threat. I mean, I could see that being Kyle as well. But Sam, I don't think is long for this game at all. I would be surprised if he's in the game in 3 weeks when we check back in on November, whatever. I'd be very surprised if he's still in the game. Next, I mentioned it before, Kyle. I think Kyle's not long for the game either. He's won immunity, so we don't really know what his threat level is to other people because you can't vote for him at all. I wouldn't be surprised if we go into next week and he's just the number 1 threat. We haven't. We heard from Rome and Exit Press that there's something shady going on with Kyle, talking about Sue and Caroline that he would never repeat ever, and I'm interested to see if Tiana will say anything about that tomorrow or today when this video comes out. Doubt it, but I mean, he said it, so we'll see if anything happens. If that's true, people might be wanting to vote him out. Maybe production's hiding it. He might be the next one out. First member of the jury, it's Kyle. I wouldn't be surprised. It doesn't seem like to me that Kyle's going to be long for this game either, especially pulling off 2 immunities in a row. He's going to be a target. Last one I struggle with a little bit between my non-winner contenders, between Genevieve, Soul, Sierra, and Gabe. It's kind of close between Gabe and Sierra, but I put Sierra because I could see Sam deflecting somehow and getting Sierra out. It could be a split vote situation. I don't know. I just don't think Sierra is really long for the game either. I could easily see Gabe being voted out. I think next week will be Gabe, Sam, or Sierra, one of those 4 will be out next. I think Soul and Genevieve will be a little bit long. Maybe everything backfires in Soul. I don't know. But those are my top 3 to win. Top 3 out next: Sam, Kyle, Sierra. I wonder did I have Tiana out next? I wonder. I'm gonna go back and watch my video if I had Tiana out next week. I actually need to check and see how these are doing. At the end of the season, I'll give a tally of how I did with that. So yeah, that'll wrap up Survivor season 47, episode 7. Pretty strong episode. It's always hype when we get a nice little advantage play. She gets to walk out safe, and we are merged now. Everything's full ahead. Everyone makes the jury. So good job to everyone in season 47. Excited for next week. Other content happening on the channel. We had the weekly live stream, NFL Week 8 recap, NFL 9 predictions. Did that last night when this video comes out, Wednesday night. So that was a fun one, as always, joined by the great Mikey and Cam. Before that, we had Born Identity and Hacksaw Ridge reviews out. More movie reviews pouring in. Next ones will be Extraction 2 and Training Day. Besides that, expect the typical weekly Survivor content, the weekly NFL streams, working on a college basketball show potentially as that starts out Monday. So as always, we're stocked full of content. Subscribers are rising. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like button, comment, what you want. What do you think of this video? What do you think of this cast? What do you think of the Survivor episode? So, as always, be easy.